here we are on yet another episode of The Strange Show on an incredibly inconsistent schedule. We bring you episode 2. That's right, everyone, the second episode of The Strange Show. Remember where you were, people. Joining me today via Skype, after much ankle grabbing without even a 20 on my nightstand, fellow Michigander, the one and only Paul Tassi of Unreality magazine. Paul, introduce yourself, partner.
Hi there. Nice to be here. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Now, I have actually a little story to tell you. It was around, 2008, I think it was, during Heroes' third season Hayden Panettiere cocksucking extravaganza, where I was online. And by that time, the show had just went down in the tubes, almost to the point where I completely forgot how good the first season was. Anyway, I'm online, and I find your article, the top 10 Heroes characters I would like to see die. And ever since then, I have been a major follower of Unreality magazine, so I would like to thank you for that article.
Oh yeah, no problem. Wow, you go way back then. That was one of the first ones. If it was 2008.
Yeah. So that brings me to my first question: is how long have you been doing Unreality magazine?
I would say since October 2008.
Wow.
Yeah. So
wow.
Well, a couple years now.
Okay, so I was kind of in on the ground floor. That makes me feel good.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. Now, I'm pretty sure you've gotten this question before, but just for the sake of the new audience, how exactly did you get started?
Well, I was living out in New York, and I was working for a college blog network that was trying to set up, a blog for each school around the country. Good idea, but terrible management, and they lost all their venture capital money. But before that happened, I was introduced to a consultant who knew stuff about how to get web traffic and things like that, and his name was Natty B. And so he decided to ask me if I wanted to start a media website with him because he saw my writing and liked it. And so we just started Unreality just in our free time. And back then when Dig was a big thing, our stories got really popular there, and that meant tens of thousands of people would see them. And so I think we kind of started our audience with that kind of seeding, and then it just grew from there over time.
Beautiful. So you and Natty B are kind of the founders of Unreality magazine. Yeah,
pretty much. He's a little older than me, but he's really good with all the business stuff, and he handles all the ads, and he writes a little bit, and then I do more of the writing, and now I'm kind of managing contributors in addition to writing.
Awesome. Have you always been interested in doing this kind of thing?
Not necessarily. I went to college, and I thought I wanted to go to business school, but then I started working for the school paper doing movie reviews. Mm-hmm. And that was pretty awesome, and that kind of stemmed into everything I'm doing now. So I kind of got the bug back then, I guess.
Right, awesome. Now you started doing movie reviews for the school paper. Now here's the thing, because we're both kind of in the same bracket. I do movie reviews, you do movie reviews, and the thing is, how do you go about selecting which movies to review?
Well, I was just trying to do at least one a week for a while, but then I have less time, so I'm kind of only doing the ones I really want to see lately. Right. But, I mean, obviously you'd want to pick big ones because that's the ones people are going to be talking about, but when I was first starting at the school paper, the most, I would get all, the worst, shitty movies ever, because it was I was the low man on the totem pole. Right. But those actually turned out to be the most fun reviews to write, and, but my favorite film review I've ever written still is probably Blood and Chocolate, the vampire werewolf love story.
Yes, I think I actually remember that one.
Yeah, and that was just stuff like that is so much fun to write. But now it's tough because with limited free time, do I really want to justify the price of a movie ticket and 2 hours to review the new Eddie Murphy movie, you know.
Right, right,
But
right.
sometimes those correspond when it's like a new Twilight movie comes out and I get to see it and it's big, but I also get to make fun of it because it's probably going to be awful. So it works out sometimes.
And speaking of Twilight, I just have to commend you for doing what the rest of us can't and actually sitting down to read 50 Shades of Grey.
Oh God, yeah, that was I took one for the team there. That was actually Remy's idea, our contributor. He approached me like a couple months ago about like, dude, you have to let me write about like 50 Shades of Grey. It's so awful, and like I had no idea what it was, so I looked into it. I'm like, no, dude, like you can't just write about like erotic fiction on Unreality. Like that's really random. But then it became like this giant pop culture thing, and so I'm like, all right, well I should read it. So I hit up Remy and took him up on his offer, and we did that little back and forth read. Like I gave it to my fiance to read, and like she can't even do it. She's like, it's too ridiculous. Like there's so
I love stories like that because the good thing about getting your hand on like a real like trashy piece of literature or movie is just the first of all there's the cultural draw to it. Like what makes this so good, and I think that's why I like a lot of your articles. Is that the thing with most critics is the fact that they just go in and completely just start eviscerating it, whereas you take a more like analytical approach, like, okay, this is bad. Now, why is this getting so much attention? What makes this good? And I think that's why I'm drawn to Unreality magazine and
okay.
why you're one of my favorite critics in terms of like movies and literature and whatnot, and also your television stuff where you've been doing the Dexter reviews and the Breaking Bad and whatnot. And I think you've done True Blood once or twice before.
I think that was Madison back when he was writing
Okay.
for us.
Okay.
He was a big True. I mean, I've watched everything except the last season of True Blood, but yeah.
Okay. And I have to thank you for actually getting me into Dexter. I've been
really?
hearing yes, I've been hearing a lot of things about it, and I heard the premise of the show, and I'm like, this is by far the dumbest thing I've ever heard. But I saw one of your reviews, and enough people were talking about it. I'm like, okay, let me give it a shot. So now I'm actually doing Dexter reviews myself, and I'll plug that later on. But yeah, so you've been doing television shows and whatnot. Is there any of these new shows, these new crop of shows that are coming out that you're interested in reviewing?
Like the upcoming fall pilots, you mean?
Yes.
I haven't been studying them too much. There's that one where I forget what channel it's on. I forget what it's. Is it Blackout or something?
Oh,
Where
Revolution.
Yeah, Revolution. Yeah, where there's no power or something.
Yes.
That's another one of those shows where like it sounds like it could interest me, but then like I'm worried it's gonna be like Terra Nova and or like The Event or like any millions of those other shows that kind of came before it.
Oh, The Event.
But The Event was ridiculous. But I usually stay away from reviewing like new shows because it can feel like a bad investment if the show doesn't go anywhere. Like I did that with V, and
Yeah.
it was fun, but like I mean obviously that show went nowhere, and like they just canceled it like in the middle, like so it wasn't even resolved. So I'm more prone. I only really want to review one show at a time. So if it's like Breaking Bad's on, or Dexter's on, or Game of Thrones is on, and that's pretty much covers a lot of the year. I might do like Walking Dead or something this year, but
Right.
we'll see.
Yeah, those are definitely like in the big three. The Dexter, Game of Thrones, Breaking Bad in terms of like shows that are getting the most traffic nowadays, and
Yeah,
The Walking
exactly.
Dead included. But it's definitely those three.
Yep.
Yeah. So also another thing I have to commend you for is how in the world did you manage to sit through Martyrs?
Martyrs. I sat through Martyrs twice.
Twice.
I know. Yeah. It's the first time was. I mean I've seen a lot of horror movies and like, but nothing quite prepared me for that. Like it was. I thought I knew where it was going, and like the beginning was pretty brutal, and then it just completely changed direction, and I was like, "Whoa!" And then I watched it again because I had a buddy who was just like a crazy horror aficionado, and I had to show it to him, so I watched it again. But like once you know it's all coming, it's not as bad the second time. Like I know there's all these movies like people can't watch again, but like it's not no movie is as bad the second time. Like it's not going to shock you as much. But it was. I mean, I'm glad I did it because like it sparked this whole debate about he was trying to figure out if it was like pro atheism or like anti atheism or all this stuff. So it was really interesting. But
Huh. I couldn't even get through the trailer, so
you couldn't even get to the trailer. I can't blame you for that. I mean, it's definitely not for everybody. I only recommend it to people I know are like hardcore horror people.
Yeah, you definitely got to have an iron stomach for a movie like that. Cause,
Yeah.
Yeah. So in terms of like movies, what exactly are you looking forward to this year?
This coming year.
Yeah.
Let's see. Spielberg's Lincoln should be pretty awesome, even if that's a little slow. Obviously, The Hobbit. I mean,
Right.
I have a hunch that The Hobbit might not be as good. I mean, there's 3 new Hobbit movies, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I have a hunch that's not gonna be quite as spectacular as The Lord of the Rings, just because I don't know. It feels like less exciting source material, even if that's blasphemous to say. But I'm definitely looking forward to it. I think it's it'll be really good. So, what else? I'm drawing a blank on what's even coming out recently.
Well, we got Man of Steel. I'll just softball you. Man of Steel.
Wait, when is Man of Steel coming out?
Next year.
Oh, next year. Oh, I thought you meant like this winter. Yeah. I mean, yeah. I'm definitely curious to see how that's gonna go. Zack Snyder. It's tough because like I'm like the biggest like 300 fan ever, and like that gets me made fun of by everyone. But like I think for what it is, it's like amazing. And then I think he did. I like his shit. What's it called? I'm drawing a blank. The zombie one.
Dawn of the Dead.
Dawn of the Dead. Yeah. I
Great
thought that
movie.
was well done. I thought he did the best he could possibly do with Watchmen. I just don't think that movie needed to exist. But then Sucker Punch was like, it's one of the worst movies I've ever seen. Like out of nowhere, it was like beyond, batshit insane, and like it was too much for me. And like that was aimed directly at me, and I couldn't stand it. Go look at my Sucker Punch review. That was a fun one.
I've read it. It is good, but yeah, one of the best. I mean, one of the worst movies. Wow.
Yeah, so we'll
that's
see what he
definitely
does
up
with
there.
Superman. Yeah, I mean, no, I know Nolan's a producer, but I don't know exactly how much control he has over it. I don't know. I've never been a huge like Superman movie person. Like I watched all 10 seasons of Smallville. Actually, recently, like last year, I watched all 10. And that show is ridiculous, but it's like ridiculous in like a charming way. But I didn't really dig Superman Returns, and even I mean I like the old Richard Donner ones, like they're good for what they are, but I don't know if the character can translate that well into present day. It doesn't seem like people know what to do with him now.
Yeah, I'll definitely agree with that assessment. So seeing as how you're not the biggest Superman fan, what's your stake on comic books?
See, this is the problem was I was never allowed to read comic books growing up.
Right.
So I missed all the important plot lines, and like I've gone back now that I'm older, and like I've tried to read a lot of the major ones, but like I don't like I have to keep up on movies, TV shows, and video games like to do like all 3 of the jobs that I have, and on such like a regular basis. Like I'm unfortunately don't have too much time to read like new comics, which is a shame, but it's something's got to get cut.
Right. Well, certainly not any of the new ones. There hasn't been much in the way of quality in the new ones, except for the Batmans. I hear those are really good, and a couple of other things. But definitely some of the much older stuff that you probably are or should be familiar with, like Crisis on Infinite Earths, Infinite Crisis, things of that nature. You're up on that, right?
Not those 2. You should make me a list of like the most important comic stories I should go read, because like I have like the Dark Knight Returns and like really random stuff, so it's not like I'm super caught up on even like the classics. Like I know the gist of a lot of them, but I haven't like read through them. So yeah, you should shoot me an email and like a list of like all the stuff I should catch up on.
I'm surprised that hasn't happened already.
Yeah, that's true.
Good stuff. Now, switching gears here, I know you're a reviewer and whatnot. Who are the other reviewers out there that you're that you're fans of? Like, who are you feeling in the game right now?
Just in terms of movie reviewers.
Reviewers of anything.
Okay. I've always been a big Ebert fan. I know you can get a lot of shit from various people, but like I've read all of his books and like I've read, probably hundreds of his reviews, and I don't know, his style is it's pretty conversational, which is what I like to try to be like. So he's been kind of an inspiration in that regard. It's tough because I don't know, a lot of modern critics I'm kind of at odds with because everyone kind of takes everything like really, really seriously, and I don't know if that's necessarily the best way to analyze movies. Like I like when people can do it really smartly, but like when people are trying to like, overanalyze a movie that's just supposed to be like enjoyable, it's kind of frustrating. But in terms of, I don't know if I have any specific people for video games and TV. Like I mean, I read other reviews. I don't quite keep track of who's all writing them. I think the AV Club has a lot of good stuff. They're really solid.
Never heard of them. I'll have to check
the
them out.
Onion. It's the Onion's AV Club.
Oh, I've heard of the Onion. I just didn't know that was. Okay.
Oh yeah, that's their They have like a serious quote unquote like media site that's like the AV Club, and they do really good reviews of stuff.
Awesome, awesome. So getting back to your style of writing a review, what exactly do you? Okay, going into a movie that you're going to review, what exactly is your assessment? How do you go about reviewing a movie?
Let's see. Well, in the end, it's about if you enjoyed yourself. Like it's kind of hard to gauge movies against each other, which is why the star system is kind of wacky. Like how one, like a comedy, like an R-rated gag comedy can get like, can be 5 stars for what it is, but then like how could you give, like The Hangover 5 stars? It's like, only like The Godfather deserves 5 stars. But
Right.
I don't know, if I think if I come out of a movie and I just think it's fantastic, like I'll give it 5 stars. Like I did that with The Avengers. I
Right.
did that with The Dark Knight Rises. Like I have no qualms about that. But then if a movie comes along that's like completely unexpected, where I didn't really know what was going in, like I have no problem giving like The Gray like 4.5 stars. Like if I thought it was like fantastically done. In terms of the actual writing of it, it's tough because I've been kind of learning over the years of what to do and what not to do, and it's bad to focus too much on plot alone, and like the less you recap, usually the better, and the more analysis you put in, it works better.
Right.
And it's something you always got to kind of remember to stay away from, and I'm hit or miss on that sometimes still. But it kind of bugs me because I don't know why people would read reviews before going to see a movie. And like so like all these sites, want to be the first one out to, give each new release like its review, but like other than like the overall Rotten Tomatoes rating, which I think is somewhat useful if you want to like check out a movie you weren't sure about, because I think Rotten Tomatoes is pretty reliable, but like I don't know why you would go through and read actual reviews, because it creates such a preconceived picture in your mind, like before you even step in the theater, that like it's going to affect your perception of the movie. And like I purposely, I even avoided the Rotten Tomatoes ratings for The Dark Knight Rises, because even if it was like an 80 or something, I'm going to be like, I was going to go in thinking it was worse than, the Dark Knight, the original Dark Knight. And I didn't want, even if that was true, I didn't want that preconceived notion to be in my head when I was seeing a movie like that important. And like I'd much rather have it be where like I always publish my reviews like the day after the weekend usually, and I'd much just rather have it be a discussion about the movie, because it's frustrating in reviews how you can't discuss like a lot of plot points, which normally are really important because you don't want to give away spoilers, but that's the most interesting part of the movie to talk about. So that's the frustrating thing about reviews for me, is I think they should be more discussions and less like a preconceived package of what you should think going into a movie.
Right. So in that same mindset, have you ever considered like transitioning into doing like collaboration movie reviews and possibly even videos?
I haven't specifically considered that, but it's definitely something I'd be open to. I just started doing video stuff for Forbes, which was kind of fun, and it's just like me talking into my iPhone. but it's not a bad format, and like I'd totally be up for that. I think I don't know. I feel like my voice might be a little too monotone for some scintillating video reviews, but who
Don't do
knows?
that. So, I mean, is there an Unreality like magazine YouTube channel?
No, there isn't. I don't know. We should probably start one, but
Yeah,
it's just,
you guys should really
what
do
what
that.
what would we put on it? Like, what do you think we should put on it?
Well, I mean, it would definitely like broaden your horizons to actually like get a discussion going. Like a lot of the things that you've said, making things discussionary. YouTube's a great platform for movie reviews. Definitely, it would. It's unfortunate, but a lot of people don't read nowadays, and yeah. So having a video group of like either you or Natty B and Madison, if he'll come back.
No, he's in the wind now. He's a lawyer.
Rode off into the sunset. I teared
Yeah.
up a little too. That was it was very emotional, but yeah.
It was. That's a good idea. I kind of like that. It's just I'd have to find time to make some videos, and I don't really know anything about video editing, so
There you go.
it would be. I mean, I can't imagine it would be too terribly difficult if I'm just doing like talking, but I don't know.
Right. Well, I mean, there are some things you can check out and watch and whatnot. Definitely people who do a lot of movie reviews in the game who know what they're doing in terms of like getting a discussion going. And speaking of discussion, we will probably have one by the end of this podcast because there's something we need to speak about. But we'll get there when we get there.
This sounds menacing.
It should. I'm kidding. So now a little personal here. What exactly is your obsession with Pokemon?
Is this what you want to talk to me about, or is this separate?
Oh, this is separate.
Okay. It's funny because like it just kind of became a running joke at the site. Like I was really into Pokemon back when it was like acceptable to be into Pokemon. Like, I mean, I guess it still is, but
Right.
I mean, I'm talking about like I was 11, 12 playing Pokemon Red and Blue, and I was super into it and had all level 100 everything with the rare candy trick and all that.
Right.
And I played Gold and Silver. I don't know, I was like 13 or 14 or whatever. But I mean, honestly, since that, I have not played another Pokemon game. And I have Nintendo actually sent me a 3DS because I wrote something about it being bad because the 3D gave me a headache, and they're like, "Here, try it more." So they sent me one. So when the next Pokemon game comes out for that, I'm probably going to be all over it, but it's going to be like 10 years after I actually played Pokemon. But in the meantime, like I still think it's just a fundamentally like amazing concept for a game, and it's so frustrating that Nintendo just like refuses to do anything interesting with it. Like,
Yes.
why is there not a Pokemon console game? Like you're especially with the new Wii U, like you have the graphics now. You can have someone roaming around in the world and like catching Pokemon like in 3 dimensions. Like
Yes.
it boggles my mind. I read some quote once that was like, I think it was Iwata, and he said that he didn't think that people wanted that, so they were just sticking with handhelds. And it's like, how detached from your customer base like do you have to be? Like if they announced the Wii U just with a Pokemon game where it was like the thing in your hand is a Pokedex, and like that would have won E3 and everyone would still be raving about it. But like they refuse to move it forward in like any significant way, which I do not understand.
Yeah, that's definitely been a major complaint that I had since I think since Pokemon Stadium came out, because I was really excited.
Oh God,
for that game.
Pokemon Stadium, yeah.
Yeah, and because I've always imagined a Pokemon game would be kind of like a first-person shooter where you would have a Pokeball and you'd actually be able to, like you said, go out into the world, catch some Pokemon, and then like the battle system would convert to something like a Final Fantasy where it'd still be turn-based, but you would have the trainers there, the Pokemon on each side. Yeah.
But not horrible. Like Pokemon Stadium was, I think, the single biggest disappointment. I might write a whole article about disappointing video games, but like the single biggest disappointment for me, because I mean I was still like 13 or whatever, and like I was like, oh, I get to see my Pokemon battle, and like the animations were just like, so like Hitmonchan would like do a punch and it would stand on the other side of the arena and swing, and then like a little fist icon would appear on like Venusaur. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. And, like 12-year-old me was like, this is a disgrace. Like, I didn't play that for longer than like 10 minutes, and I was looking forward to it for like 3 years. So that still haunts me. Sadly, Pokemon Snap was like a way better Pokemon console game. But like, I don't know why they keep dancing around it. Like, why are they doing all these like sub console games, but they won't do just one big Pokemon? I don't know. I could go on about this forever, but
Exactly, because of the Pokemon obsession of Paul there.
yeah. We have a couple. I mean, we have a couple like running jokes on the site where it's like, if stuff gets featured a lot, it's like I think Disney Princesses is another one, and Christina Hendricks, although not so much recently. But
Yeah.
she was a big one for a while. But I don't know, just things we end up writing about a lot. They just kind of turn into like Unreality memes.
I love that. That's definitely hilarious. So what are you playing in the game world?
Let's see. Like, I'm sporadically still playing Diablo 3, which I'm like one of 4 people on Earth doing that, but I'm pretty much just trying to find random items. Like, it's a casino slot machine. Like, every so often I'll just go on like little 10-minute magic finding runs. But other than that, I play a decent amount of League of Legends. With my buddy who's in law school. We kind of Skype and play that like every other day or so. I'm not very good, but it's a good game. I actually just started freelancing for Riot, the people who make it, and I'm like covering professional League of Legends now for them. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, I've been hearing a lot about League of Legends. I'm like incredibly behind the curve in terms of gaming goes. I'm still rocking a PS2 here and playing the Sonic Mega Collection Plus. So
man, okay.
Yeah, that's it's definitely been eating up a lot of my time.
PS2's got a lot of good games too. So.
Oh yes, it does, and I'm hoping to get a PS3 sometime before 2014. Yes, I'm that broke.
Hey, you got to do what you got to do.
Isn't that true? Anyway, so yeah, I've been hearing a lot about League of Legends, and I'm not quite sure what it is. As behind the curve as I am, I try to stay at least abreast of what's been going on in the gaming world. Is that like World of Warcraft?
No, not really. It was the genre of game was kind of spawned from Blizzard, where there used to be these mods, and I think it was StarCraft, where it was like 5 champions versus 5 champions, and it was like aggressive tower defense. So like you have a side, and then you have like defensive towers, and pretty much you pick like a champion with a specific set of skills, and you try to take down the other team's towers while they fight you. And so it's not like World of Warcraft like it's not an MMO. It's like 45 to 20 minute games at a time, and everything resets at the end. So like you're not really leveling up in the same way. And it's bigger than World of Warcraft now. It's like 15 million players or something. It's the most popular game in the world because it's free to play. So you should check it out because I mean I've spent $0 on it so far. It's all free, so it's definitely worth a try.
Wow, if I were into online gaming, I'll give it a shot because what the hell? Paul told me I'll do it. I'll do it.
I mean, it's definitely not for everyone, and it can be frustrating. But yeah, I mean, you could do a lot worse for a free game.
Yeah, most definitely. That's my thing is I'm an easily frustrated gamer. Like,
then you probably shouldn't play.
Yeah. Like I lost patience with the Final Fantasy games, and my scope right now is just like wrestling games and like 007, first person shooting type thing.
Yeah.
I've completely gone ape over San Andreas. I hate that game so much.
Why do you hate San Andreas?
Oh, it's the world is too big. It's too big. The second half of that, like the first half of the game was great, and then like by the time the police officers take you out into the country, that's when I was like, I'm done, because the driving back and forth and
you gotta fly. You gotta go to the airport. Or you gotta get the jetpack, then you can fly around everywhere.
The jetpack. Okay, I will have to find that, because the thing is like. San Andreas is like code defended now. Like if you put in the cheat codes or like put them in too many times, there's a certain mission that you won't be able to accomplish, and
What? What? Why do they care? They put the codes in the game in the first place.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. So
I don't understand that at all.
yeah, I still hold to the ideology that Vice City is the single greatest Grand Theft Auto game.
Which one? Sorry.
Vice City.
Oh, Vice City. Everyone loves Vice City. I wasn't like super wild. Why do you like Vice City so much?
Well, here's the thing. I hated the ending, but Vice City has a great story, at least to me. The protagonist, Tommy Vercetti, freaking hilarious, and it's Ray Liotta. And for those of you who don't know, I kind of have a thing for Ray Liotta. I mean, the guy smacked me with his penis, so it's
I'm not gonna ask about that.
that's an inside
Oh wait,
joke.
yeah. I remember that. I remember that now. That was a long-running thing I forgot about.
Okay, alrighty. But, yeah, so Vice City, I just hated the ending, because I thought the ending was complete, like, BS. But I loved the story for Vice City, and that's kind of what kept me playing it, because I wanted to see how everything turned out. It has a great voice acting cast. It's just all around great. I love that game, and yeah. And from the nightmares I've been hearing about the other Grand Theft Auto, 4 is it? The one with Bellic? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was okay. Like mechanically, it was really good, but the story was like so depressing. And then like it ends, and then there's 2 depressing endings you can choose, and they're both equally depressing and awful. And it's like it didn't really fit with the game. That's why I like Saints Row, because it's like a more lighthearted version of Grand Theft Auto, because Grand Theft Auto got too serious.
Very nice. And speaking of video games, you did an article on Grand Theft Auto and the endings, if memory serves correct, right?
Yeah, that was a couple years ago now.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm not too far behind on the curve on that. Good stuff. Good stuff. So yeah, it's winding down here. We're running on 31 minutes. Let me see. My camera's down to 13 minutes.
Okay.
So yeah, we're definitely getting somewhere. But for the closing discussion here, what's next for Paul?
Let's see. That's a good question. Unreality is still going. I'm really liking working with some of the new people we've taken on. I'm going to try to do more kind of combination articles with them. I might start that YouTube page. That's a good idea.
Yeah, definitely look into that.
Yeah, and then I'm doing the video game thing for Forbes. They just hired a bunch of new video game people, so I'm not like the only one there anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, this Riot thing, I might be going to like some pro gaming events, like flying around the country doing that. And I am starting a cosplay site that's like all cosplay.
It's about time.
Yeah, I figured that there was a good market for that if it's well done, and that's gonna go up soon, and I'll probably make an announcement about that when that happens. And then I am trying to self-publish my latest book or my only book on Amazon for the Kindle, and I'm trying
book.
Yeah. I spent
book?
kind of the last 6 months or so hammering that out, and I'm just finishing editing.
Oh, okay. Hold the phone here, because I don't. I read the site quite a bit, and I don't recall there ever being a mention of a book.
Yeah, I haven't. I definitely haven't talked about it too much on Unreality. I've kind of like hinted at it, but yeah, it's. I don't know. I have really been wanting to write, a book for a long time now, and it's fiction, it's sci-fi, it's the end of the world and aliens and stuff like that, post-apocalypse stuff I'm kind of intimately familiar with because of all the shows and movies I watch and games I play.
Right.
And the brief rundown of the premise is it starts after the world has been destroyed by like an alien invasion, and we kind of fought them off, but like in the process, like everything is in ruins, and like the oceans are drying up and all that. So it follows one guy who's been like walking across the country trying to find his family because like he was on a business trip when like the whole alien thing happened. So he's been like walking across America for a couple years. When he gets there, he discovers like a working alien ship that's like being fixed up by one of the aliens who's like a scientist, and After an initial confrontation, they kind of team up, and then they go in the ship, and then they kind of go off to where the aliens came from, and that's the journey to get there is kind of the whole book, and it's actually book one of a trilogy that I have already mapped out.
Trilogy.
Yeah, so I'm kind of ambitious. I've already started writing the second book, even if I haven't quite managed to publish the other one yet. But
can we get a title?
It's either going to be Exodus or The Last Exodus. I'm not sure, something like that.
All right, well, you heard it here first on the Strange Show. Exodus or The Last Exodus. Definitely be on the lookout for that, and hopefully you'll provide us with some links.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Speaking of books, have you been interested in book reviewers?
Possibly. It's we haven't really covered that on the site too much, but if I don't know if we could find there's an audience for that, it could fit in well with Unreality. I think it would probably they'd have to be books that kind of relate to what the kind of stuff we normally cover. But
right.
It's definitely not something I'm opposed to. It's just
right.
It's outside the scope of usual. We just started doing a little more comic stuff.
Right.
But so books may be on the horizon someday. I know I'll say for certain we'll never do music.
Really? Why not?
That's too. I don't know anything about writing about music, and I could never do it just because my taste in music is like the music from movie trailers I watch. I don't like actual bands. I like movie soundtracks and video game soundtracks because that's all I ever watch.
Okay.
So I don't, and I think that's a little outside the scope of what the site usually covers because there's not specifically geeky music. I mean, I know there is, but I don't know. I don't know if that would fit as well.
Alrighty. Well, anyway, we're winding down to the last couple of minutes here. Paul, any closing remarks?
What was the thing you were going to yell at me about?
Oh, that'll have to be off the podcast.
Off the podcast. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, sounds good. I might have to talk about it in the description or something so we don't leave everyone hanging. But
well, I could if you got some time, I could restart this. We could come back.
Oh, it's fine. Don't worry about it. But no, it's cool. But no, I really appreciate you having me on, and it's good to just have a conversation about stuff. So it's really cool.
Most definitely, and definitely the Brony community thanks you for the article you've written on My Little Pony. As a Brony myself, I thank you for that.
All right, yeah, no problem.
Is it possible that we could get you to come back at the very end of Dexter? And I'm not talking about the end of this season.
Very end?
Yes,
the end of the whole show?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, sure. It's a ways off, but yeah, sure.
Yes. It is a ways off, but I have some plans for that. Anyway, for those of you interested, you can catch Paul on unrealitymagazine.com. Definitely worth checking out. Anything you want to add, Paul?
I think that's it.
Awesome. And we will see you guys later. Peace.